All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are talking about something that's kind of like the secret sauce connecting the entire world of blockchain. We're diving deep into cross-chain technology, the stuff that builds bridges between all these isolated networks so they can finally work together.
So let's just kick things off with a really simple but super important question. You've got these absolute giants, right? Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana. Why on earth can't they just, communicate?
Well, the thing is, each one of these was built to be its own little fortress. A totally secure, self-contained universe with its own unique rules, its own language, its own money. The best way to picture it is to think of them as these isolated digital islands out in the middle of a huge ocean.
Now that independence is fantastic for keeping each individual island secure, but when you zoom out and look at the whole map, you start to see a major problem: fragmentation. And that's been holding back the entire industry.
So here's the bottom line. Value gets trapped on these individual chains, and that really limits what's possible. Developers can't create apps that tap into the strengths of different networks, and you, as a user, can't move your assets around freely. It's kind of like having a world full of rich countries, but with absolutely no trade routes between them. Progress just grinds to a halt.
Okay, so if blockchains are islands, what's the fix? Well, this is where cross-chain technology comes into play. Think of it as the shipbuilders, the bridge engineers, and the cartographers of this new digital world, connecting everything into one massive, bustling network.
At its core, it's all about one word: interoperability. It's a bit of a mouthful, I know, but all it really means is getting these different systems to work together. And that's the key to unlocking a network that is just so much more powerful than any single chain could ever be on its own.
So how does this magic actually happen? Well, there are a few key methods. Bridges are probably the most common. They basically lock up an asset on one chain and then issue a wrapped version, like a digital IOU or a claim check, on the other chain. Then you have atomic swaps, which are super cool. They let two people trade assets directly across different chains, no middleman needed. And behind the scenes of a lot of this, you have oracles and validators, which act like impartial referees, making sure every single transfer is legit.
But, and you knew there was a but coming, building these connections is tricky, and they come with some very, very real risks. It is absolutely crucial you understand the potential dangers before you start moving your assets across these bridges.
Yeah, there are some pretty big trade-offs. Security is without a doubt the #1 concern. These bridges are holding enormous amounts of value, which makes them a massive glowing target for hackers. They're also not always instant. You need confirmations on both chains, which can sometimes mean you wait. And finally, yeah, it can get pricey. You often have to pay transaction fees on both networks, and those can definitely add up.
This is why picking the right kind of bridge is so important. You've got centralized ones, which are usually faster and really simple to use, but you're basically putting all your trust in a single company. One point of failure. On the other hand, you have decentralized bridges. They spread that trust across a whole network of validators, which makes them way more secure. But they can be a bit slower and more complicated. It's that classic trade-off, convenience versus security.
Okay, so even with all those challenges, the future here is incredibly bright. We're moving way beyond just simple A to B bridges and starting to build entire multi-chain ecosystems.
The vision here is really something. The goal isn't just to connect a few islands, it's to transform this whole scattered archipelago into one vast, interconnected digital continent. A place where value and data can flow just as freely and securely as information does on the web today.
And here's the really cool part. We're figuring out how to do it more safely. Security is evolving like crazy. Instead of just a handful of validators, new systems use huge, decentralized networks that are way harder to attack. Automated systems are constantly scanning for bugs. And we're seeing cutting-edge tools like zero-knowledge proofs that can verify transactions without revealing any of the underlying data. It's pretty wild.
And this isn't just some sci-fi fantasy. It is happening right now. In DeFi, you can pull liquidity from 3 different chains at once to get the best possible return. In gaming, imagine earning a legendary sword in one game and then taking it with you to use in a totally different one. Even big businesses are using this to track supply chains securely across multiple different systems. The possibilities are huge.
So, with all this in mind, how can you, personally, explore this new multi-chain world safely? Let's break down the essential playbook.
Honestly, if you just follow these 3 simple rules, you can avoid a world of hurt. First, do your homework.
Seriously, has this bridge been audited? What's its security track record look like? Second, and this is a big one, start small. Never, ever go all in on your first try. Send a little test transaction first. And finally, stay in the loop. This space moves at lightning speed, and just being informed is your absolute best defense.
Ultimately, this is the grand vision that's pushing all of this forward. It's all about tearing down the walls between these networks to build a more open, connected, and powerful digital world for everyone. So you see, we're going from this collection of isolated digital islands to a truly connected continent. Cross-chain tech is the key that's going to unlock this next massive wave of innovation. It's way more than just a technical fix. It's a completely new way of thinking about how we create, share, and use digital value.
And that leaves us with one last really big question to think about. I mean, we all saw how the free flow of information completely reshaped our world with the internet. So what happens, what new worlds open up when digital value can move just as easily? The answer to that is being written as we speak. Thanks for watching.